More than a century and a half ago, Lutherans in the South recognized the need for a seminary to educate pastors for churches in the area. Lutheran Theological Southern Seminary, established in 1830, has survived wars, changes of location, financial crises, periods of growth and of near extinction, to stand today as the second oldest Lutheran seminary in North America, instructing men and women in the traditions and theology of the church, and nourishing their growth in the Christian faith. It is perhaps significant that the seminary in Columbia is located on the highest geographical point in the South Carolina Midlands. For here, on this quiet hilltop, shaded by magnolias and pine, in the company of knowledgeable but readily accessible teachers, one does, at times, feel a little closer to God. But the seminary campus, like its curriculum, is not far removed from the realities of daily life. It is as parish pastors rather than scholars that most graduates will carry out their ministries, even while living and studying in this serene and scholarly setting. Students have ample opportunities to test their theology in real-life situations. Well over half are married. Many even have jobs to help finance their studies and to support families. Some are returning to the classroom after a period of secular employment. All are actively involved in the work of local congregations, and the entire third year is spent away from the seminary in supervised pastoral work. President George Anderson, who gets to know each student personally, says the seminary is training in futures.
What students learn here must not only equip them to start their ministries, but also enable them to minister effectively for the next 40 years in a society that's changing rapidly. So, our graduates must know how and when to adjust, to make mid-course changes to meet the evolving needs of the parish, hospitals, prisons, wherever they're working.
Like the seminary's program of study, campus architecture is a striking blend of old and new. Christ Chapel, with its magnificent stained glass windows, and Lineberger Memorial Library, which won the American Institute of Architects Award for library design, are a bold but compatible contrast to earlier buildings. Now a dormitory, this granite structure was built in 1911 for less than $50,000, with space for classrooms, dorms, library, chapel, and boarding hall, even an apartment for the dean and his family. This building, added in 1928 and recently renovated, has classrooms, lecture halls, and professors' offices. The traditional red doors of many Lutheran buildings symbolize the blood of Christ shed for the salvation of mankind.
Hutos un pros iuceste emes.
Pater hemon o entois uranois.
Pater hemon o entois uranois.
Just as the first seminary students were required to read the scriptures in the original languages, students today, like generations before them, labor over Hebrew and Greek.
And he said, don't come near here. Take off your shoes.
All right, who said something else besides economics? John?
Bible and theology courses are basic for those who will become preachers and others who will work in church-related jobs. But today's seminarians are also instructed in such practical subjects as counseling, church administration, how to deal with death and with alcoholism, ministering to prisoners and the handicapped, even church architecture and pulpit techniques.
Again. Now those of you, and that's practically all of you, who are great Greek scholars, will recognize immediately that there are two Greek words involved in that name, theos and philos, friend of God.
All of the professors have their doctorates, and most are ordained clergymen who know about parish life firsthand.
In the
very term gospel, which literally means what God has done. It is not what we do, but it is what God has done for us. Now that really makes the Christian faith unique, because all other religions are the means and method by which people strive by moral action and by sacrifice and by service in order to please God. The Christian faith and the gospel is just the opposite. It is the means by which God comes down to man. It is God striving to make himself and his love known unto us, and particularly through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Through the centuries, the Lutheran Church has placed high priority on an educated clergy. In Southern Seminary's earliest days, students were sent throughout the synod to collect books for the library. Some of those first contributions are housed today in this $1 million facility, one of the most modern libraries of any divinity school or seminary in the nation. Although it has a balanced collection of some 67,000 volumes, the library was designed not merely as a place to go for a book, but as a study center with comfortable settings for quiet concentration.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down.
At the center and heart of the campus is Christ Chapel, where different services are held each weekday, enabling students to learn how to lead the ancient rites and liturgies of the church, as well as the more contemporary forms of worship. Chapel services also provide a time for meditation and spiritual enrichment in the busy schedules of students and faculty.
What would you say if I told you that I had seen a man on TV heal a crippled man, a paraplegic, and this man said, "Get up and walk," and the man did just that?
In the pulpit is a senior seminarian.
What would you say if I told you that I had met a man who was once pronounced dead on the operating table, but after a few minutes he came back to life again, and to this very day lives a normal life?
Each sermon is videotaped for replay during a critique session, conducted by students and a professor who evaluate both the content and delivery. Seminary life involves the families of both faculty and students. The 15-acre campus includes homes for the president and professors, as well as for married students. Meals served in the campus union, student body organizations, a seminary choir, daily chapel attendance. All are part of a close Christian community where students learn to live their faith. Owned and governed by the 5 southern synods of the Lutheran Church in America, the seminary is in close touch with both the church and the community. Members of the more than 750 congregations which support it frequently visit the campus. Courses in continuing education attract alumni, laymen, and ministers of many denominations. Seminary graduates have worked in diverse ministries on 6 continents. Among them are a president of the nearly 4 million member Lutheran Church in America, a seminary president, an editor of a church publication, chaplains, and other distinguished Lutheran leaders. But as the only fully accredited theological seminary in South Carolina, its students have also included Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Roman Catholics, even a Jewish rabbi.
German post cum laude.
They come not only from the South, but from across the nation, even from foreign countries. Most earn their Master of Divinity degree, while others obtain a Master of Arts in Religion or a Doctor of Ministry. Back in the 16th century, Martin Luther observed, "Three things make a theologian: study, prayer, and testing." More than 400 years later, these are still the basic ingredients in training ministers to serve the church that bears his name. After 4 student years, Lutheran Theological Southern Seminary graduates are well prepared to follow the directive of Christ inscribed on the marble pulpit in the seminary chapel. And Jesus said, "As the Father has sent me, even so send I you."